Hello there. Here we are in the week before it's time to begin the moving process, and I wanted to start touching base with some of my technical implementations that we're going to be putting into place. So next week I will finally have access to the house, and on the first day I have access I will be having the internet guy come out and install internet, because I must have my network at all times. Now the house is a ranch style house, which is fairly sprawling. And historically, I've had trouble with cold spots as far as Wi-Fi goes in the house. So we're going to try to eliminate that. And we're doing that with this product right here. This is the eero mesh network components. And we are purchasing these, and we will be implementing these next week. Now, the version of the eero I have purchased comes with the base station here on the left, and the two beacons. I'll be explaining what all of these things do in just a minute, but it's important to understand there's several different configurations of these eeros, and I'll go over each of them here in a minute. Now, the base station for these eeros are basically configured the same way. You've got your power adapter, you've got a couple of auto-discovering Ethernet ports, and for the base station part of this, one of those you'll actually have to connect to the modem, and the other one you can use to connect to a physical thing like a hub or a switch and provide a physical connectivity to that. I'm not really sure what the USB port is for, maybe connecting a printer or something like that, a networked printer possibly. But it's important to understand that when you have your internet coming into the house, you do no longer need a router with this. This replaces your router. So you just need the modem that is the interface to the network, and then this, which replaces the router completely. Now, the beacons in my configuration are these smaller devices that you place wherever you want to centralize the extensions of the Wi-Fi connectivity. Now, these plug directly into an outlet, and they've got a nice little night light here, which gives you the option of seeing the other plug as well as lighting up a small area. So the concept behind what's going on here is your standard sort of extending of the wireless network. But there's more going on here than just boosting a signal. These devices actually talk to each other and learn the network and learn the habits of the people using them, so that it can more effectively control the traffic that's going on the network. The traffic is actually being shaped. It's not just being passed. So conceptually, what is this doing? Well, when you have just your standard router and it's plugged into some part of your house, you have your signal centralized, as you see in the image here, and then you have attenuation of the signal to the point where you start having cold spots in the house. Now, this is the problem I had at my house. When the internet was installed, it was installed at one end of this ranch house, and by the time you got to the other end, you start having major cold spots. Well, what's at the other end? The bedrooms. So when you get to the bedrooms and you're trying to use a Fire Stick on a TV, or use a tablet to read, or a computer, or whatever, your signal is very spotty. So the intent here is to place these extenders and then create what is referred to as a mesh network, where it's just one big network that is being propagated throughout the house. So as I mentioned before, there's several different configurations that you can buy here. Going from left to right, if you look, these are the dual band sort of base stations. There's 3 of the base stations, and what you get for this, for your $174, are these 3 base stations, each with 2 Ethernet ports. They're big and bulky. They are supposedly countertop placeable, but there's this ingenious company that's come up with this way to actually hang them from the outlet. So basically it's a hanger that holds the particular form factor. I might not be able to tell from this picture, but the one on the left and the base stations on the middle are very much different in their form. The ones on the left are much fatter. So anyway, the hangers will conform to the form factor of the individual base stations, and then you are able to hide the power cable and the Ethernet cable within the hanger, and then the hanger itself engages with the plug to plug right into the outlet. So it's hanging from the outlet, so it's all one unit there and very nice and contained, and it's quite elegant, and I have one. They are bought separately, so they're only like $10-12, but definitely important to get. So back to the comparison, the one on the left. The big difference in this one is that it is only a dual band system, and what I mean by that is it will only allow users to communicate over the 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz bands. Now, with only 2 bands, the system will analyze your traffic and route you to the best frequency to communicate on. But with only the 2 bands, if you've got a lot of components on the network, there can be contention and traffic jams. Excuse me. So I went with the second one. This is the eero Pro. Now, with the beacons, you don't have the extra Ethernet ports as you do on the previous one, because they're all base stations. The beacons just plug into the walls. But what you get with this is you get a tri-band network, which means you get one 2.4 gigahertz band and 2 5 gigahertz bands. And the network watches the traffic. Now, the components I'm going to have on mine: 3 smartphones, 3 tablets, networked printer, smart TVs, Fire sticks, my desk, my office PC. So you see how as the components stack up, and it's only going to increase with the Internet of Things. My Echo frames, for example. So as the number of components on the network increases, there's going to be contention in traffic. With the tri-band, it's smart enough to recognize how the traffic is operating on the network and shape that traffic between the 3 bands so that you have less chance of there being any congestion on the network and things like that. So I went ahead with the Pro version for that reason alone. And finally, the one on the right is basically similar to the first one on the left, but it's 3 of the Pro base stations. So it gives you the option for having the physical extensions to the network at each one of these places. So with that, we have received the components, we have them in hand, but we're not going to unbox them now. We're going to unbox them on site next week after the network is installed. So I don't think I'm going to have a way to actively capture the screen of my phone and video to show the setup and all that, but I'll take a lot of screenshots and we'll share them with you. So the next time you see me, I'll be at the house, the internet will be installed, and we'll be unboxing and preparing to install this system, and we'll share with you how it goes from there. All right? We'll see you in a minute. All right, so we have the, sorry for the echo, the whole house is empty, so there'll be a lot of echoey stuff. We have the internet installed, and so I'm going to go through and do a baseline view of the signal strength I've got Wi-Fi analyzer on my phone. Now, like I said, I'm not going to be able to sync a live feed of this in, but I'll take some screenshots and you'll be able to see where we're at. So right now I'm standing right by the router, and first of all, I'll be looking at the 2.4 gigahertz, and the router that is mine is the one in red. All right, let's go ahead and get a screenshot here. All right, now we're going to exit the room where this is installed and move into the next part of the house. Now, this part is pretty decent. This is still on the main floor, just separated by some walls, but this is in the living room area, and we've already dropped a fairly significant amount. Now, I'm also going to include, let's go back, because I want to include the 5 gigahertz measurement as well. So let's get that. Okay, and we'll move that into the living room again. And we'll take a 2.4 gigahertz, you'll see that, and then a 5 gigahertz. Now, typically out here, this is pretty decent, but you can already see the drop in the signal just out to here. Okay. And 5 gigahertz. All right, so this is where the problem is. So as I go through the hallway here, up into the upstairs area, that wall I just passed through is cinder block. So a lot of the signal gets blocked. So let's go in here. This is where the TV is going to be installed. Let me get a reading here at 2.4 gigahertz. Let's let it sit for a minute and get a good signal. And it's piss poor, it really is. Okay, and let me get a 5 gigahertz. Okay, all right, so now we're in my studio. This is way in the back of the house, directly opposite of where I just was. And the signal's really bad back here. Okay, there's the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 gigahertz. All right, so there's our baseline before we start installing our eero mesh network here. And we'll be able to take these and compare them to what we see once this is installed. So let's go ahead and break out the eero, take a look at the components, and look at getting it installed. And I'll take some screenshots of the installation as well. All right, so here we are. We've got our eero home Wi-Fi system. We've got the nice wall hanger we're going to be able to hook up. This is super dope. So look, it's got these channels for wrapping the power supply cable as well as the internet cable, and then this is where the power supply goes, and it just hangs just like that right into the socket. Super dope engineering, love it. Now I do have to apologize for the lighting. I have like I'm dealing strictly with room lighting and a little bit of natural lighting. I didn't bring a light with me. Just a little oversight on my part, but you know, it is what it is. So let's take a look at this gear here. This may end up being upside down, but it's what I'm working with at the moment in this makeshift studio I've got. So let's go ahead and break this open and see what we got here. Underneath, we have the eero. So we should have the Pro base station. Nothing here but some nice protective foam. That's nice. Alright, so we've got the installation instructions. It says, download the eero app for iOS or Android, unplug your modem and anything connected to it. Begin with the modem unplugged, open the app, and follow along. I'm hoping what they mean by modem is the Pro here, because my situation's a little funny. I was talking to my Verizon guy. He says I have to have their router in place because I'm not only getting internet, I'm getting television. And television gets its program guide, video on demand, and all that stuff through the Wi-Fi, through the router. So that has to be in place in order for us to have those aspects of what's going on. So I don't know if this is unconventional installation or what, but we're going to have to attach this. Sorry, use drilling holes. We're going to have to attach this to one of the output ports on the router and then go from there. So we'll see if this becomes a standard installation or whether it becomes something a little more non-standard. Okay, so here we have what's in the box. We've got the Pro base station, and it has the auto-sensing Ethernet ports as well as the power supply port. We've got the two beacons, which are nothing more than plug-ins. Not a whole lot. Looks like there's a reset button on the side over here, and I believe there's supposed to be a light right there when this is plugged in, because when it plugs in it goes that way. Okay, and then the light shines down to the other outlet. So we've got the two beacons, and we've got the power supply. So basically the instructions say unplug the router, and I'm hoping that's what they mean by this, which is not plugged in yet, and install the app and then start from there. Okay, so the power supply slips in from the back, and then there's that little notch there for the power supply cord. Fits in there nice and snug. And then you have these in the corners, you have these spaces for the cable cord to go in, and then the cord just simply wraps around here until you get to the eero device itself, which should slide right into here. I still love the design. It's amazing. And it perfectly fits the cord now, and it pops right out where it's supposed to and plugs in. Look at that. Okay, very elegant. So that's going to get plugged in. Now I do know the instructions say not to plug it in yet, so I'm going to take 5, and we're going to download this app, and then we're going to start installing things. So I'll be right back. Alright, so I just plugged the Pro device into one of the output ports of my router, started up the app, plugged the power into the eero Pro. It fired up, automatically detected everything, set everything up on its own. I did have to register an account with eero, which I expected to do. Basically, it completely set up that on its own. It's ready to go, and now it's telling me to start installing the beacons. So I'm going to figure out a good place for these, and we're just going to plug these into the outlets, and those should self-install. Once that's done, we'll go over everything again. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we've installed the beacons. I put one here in my living room. You see it? Very small. Which is centrally located to the family room and the kitchen. And then I took the other one and put it in, sorry about the lighting, it's just how it's going to be. The other one I put here in my hallway. And that's self-installed easily with the app. Basically the app says plug it into the wall, let me find it, and let me do what I need to do. So that is there. That should serve this whole upstairs area. So after that was done, it said, hey, I want to do a system update. So it said I'm going to update all your devices. So it's doing that now. So once that's done, we'll hopefully be able to connect to our network and we'll be good to go. We'll see in just a minute. All right, so we're going to walk around the house again and take a look at the Wi-Fi signal now. We have the network in place. What I noticed is both Wi-Fi signals from the router and the eero are both showing up when I want to connect to the network. But I'm hoping what we will also see is they will both show up on the scan here, and we can compare the signal quality. So let's take a look at that. All right. So let's look at 2.4 gigahertz first. Oh. Okay, let's take a screenshot of that. So the eero Pro is a massive signal here in this room. Let's go ahead on into the living area where I've installed the first beacon. And let's see what the signal looks like in here. So we're at minus 30, around minus 30. I'll screenshot that. See what it looks like on the 5 gigahertz band. Yeah, 5 gigahertz, it's way up there now. So let's go ahead and screenshot that. All right, let's go and look at the upstairs bedrooms and see what our signal looks like up there. All right, still really high. By comparison, it actually looks about the same signal quality as we saw downstairs. It didn't change much at all. And that's because we have a beacon up here. Let me get a screenshot. This is being annoying. All right, let's get a screenshot here. Okay, signal looks great up here. Let's see how it's going to look in the studio. Now remember how low it was when we got to the studio. Hasn't moved. This last one was in the studio. Signal did not budge. So I have a stable signal throughout my entire house. The 5G is not so great, but the 2.4 gigahertz very stable throughout the whole environment. So far so good. So let's connect to the network. Let's see what we got here. All right, so I just connected my phone to the network, and it looks good. Speed's super fast. On the app, it actually gave us the upload and download speed. So let's go take a look at that again really quickly when I did the installation. So it gave, now my management app shows, I'll take a screenshot of that. It's got one device connected. It shows the devices themselves, and I suspect I can click on one of them and go manage them. Absolutely. Okay, so I just clicked on the upstairs beacon, and this is what I get. It shows the 5 bars. It shows one device connected, the location, the status, the IP address of it. I can actually do a reboot from my phone, and I can remove it from the network. So here's what that interface looks like. It's pretty simple. So it's telling me right now I've got 646 megabit per second down, 562 up. What? Yeah. So I want to wrap this up. This installed super easy. I did hardly anything other than just follow the directions on my phone. Named a few things. It handled it. I'm not connected. I got my mesh network. The signal's stable throughout the whole house, and I'm pretty thrilled with the whole process. So overall for this, I give it a thumbs up. All right, I'll see you guys later. Come back and see what I got next time, because we're moving and I got lots of stuff going on. We'll check you later.